Supreme Commander Craxon's eye stalks bulged in shock as he watched the puny human ships dance circles around his mighty war fleet, wondering how such an inferior race could unleash this level of unorthodox carnage and chaos on the galaxy's mightiest military power. The Gorn Imperial forces had conquered 1,000 systems with ruthless efficiency, crushing all opposition beneath their clawed feet. But now, as Craxon's armada approached Earth, intent on enslaving the primitive humans, something felt very wrong. "Sir, a single human ship is hailing us," one of Craxon's officers reported nervously. Craxon glared at the view screen. A lone human craft, barely a scout ship, faced down his miles-long dreadnoughts without a hint of fear. The human captain, one Nolan Davis, brazenly declared that Earth would never surrender. Craxon slammed a fist on his command console, enraged by the impudence. He was about to order the human ship vaporized when it did something insane. The nimble craft weaved through the Gorn fleet, dodging plasma blasts with impossible speed. It launched volleys of strange missiles that punched through the Gorn's shields like they were made of paper. Craxon's ship shuddered as the human weapons found their mark. Alarms wailed. Damage reports flooded in. In seconds, the lone human ship had crippled several Gorn vessels before darting away untouched. Craxon stabbed the comms. "All ships, converge fire on that craft. Destroy it now." But the human ship was already gone, vanished among the stars. Craxon breathed hard, features twisted in disbelief. These humans were far more dangerous than they'd assumed. No matter. His fleet would bombard their cities to molten slag. But as the Gorn ships moved into orbital siege position, new alarms flashed. Waves of human attack craft poured from hidden bases on Earth and its moon. Impossibly, they were armed with weapons and shields that outclassed even the Gorn's tech. Fighters buzzed the larger Gorn ships, blasting away with impunity as the stunned aliens struggled to adapt. Craxon could only watch in mounting horror as the humans threw his textbook invasion into utter disarray. Comms channels crackled with panicked reports. The humans had overrun a key Gorn staging post on Mars, defeating the garrison through a series of lightning guerrilla raids. They were using tactics the Gorn had never seen: kamikaze runs, malicious computer code, vicious psychological warfare. It was pure anarchy. As the savage battle unfolded in orbit and across the solar system, Craxon came to a grim realization. The humans weren't following any civilized conventions of war. They were an unpredictable, uncontrollable chaos factor that his rigid military machine was ill-equipped to handle. Captain Davis and the human forces ran circles around the Gorn, employing unconventional strategies that ranged from crazy to suicidal, yet brutally effective. Craxon felt control slipping through his claws. He'd vowed to subjugate Earth and crush its people as an example to the galaxy. But now, as both sides took heavy losses, yet the humans held firm, Craxon felt the first icy stirrings of doubt. Had he underestimated these mad primates? Had he finally met a foe that couldn't be defeated through raw strength and ruthless discipline alone? Craxon didn't know, but as he barked orders for an all-out assault, he knew one thing for certain. If the Gorn Empire failed here, it would mean the end of their intergalactic reign, and that could not be allowed to happen, no matter the cost. As Craxon paced the ruined bridge of his command ship, his mind reeled from the humans' latest audacious strike. The loss of his flagship was a devastating blow, both militarily and to Gorn morale. Craxon pounded his fist on a sparking console, ignoring the static-laced damage reports flooding in. "Get me a status update on all fronts now," he barked at a terrified comms officer. The reports that came back were grim. The human guerrilla attacks were escalating, striking at key Gorn installations and supply lines with alarming effectiveness. On Phobos, a Gorn depot had been reduced to molten slag by human commandos wielding chemical bombs. Craxon snarled as he studied the grisly images of charred Gorn bodies. But it was the incident with the Gorn battle network that truly stunned him. Human hackers had somehow wormed their way past the Gorn's quantum firewalls and seeded their systems with disruptive code. Craxon stared in disbelief as a looped human audio transmission blared from every console, the grating lyrics taunting him. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. Shut that off, Craxon roared, resisting the urge to blast the speakers himself. This was madness. The humans weren't just fighting with brute force, but with subversion and information warfare on a scale the Gorns had never anticipated. Craxon needed to retake the initiative, and fast. He strode into the tactical room where his top generals were arguing heatedly over a flickering holomap of the battle raging above Earth. Craxon shoved them aside and stabbed a claw at the humans' home world. "This is where we strike," he growled. "We assemble every ship and soldier we have left, and we hit the humans right in their nest." The generals shifted uneasily. "Supreme Commander," one said carefully, "the humans have shown they are unpredictable. If we concentrate our forces, we risk—" "I know the risks," Craxon snapped, "but if we do nothing, if we allow ourselves to be bled dry by this cowardly guerrilla war, then we have already lost. No, we will bring the fight to the humans, and we will grind them to dust beneath our claws." The generals saluted grimly. "What of Captain Davis and his raiders?" another asked. "They have proven to be a particularly sharp thorn in our side." Craxon's eyes glittered coldly. "Leave Davis to me," he said. "I will deal with that human personally." As his generals filed out to marshal the Gorn forces, Craxon turned back to the holomap, his features etched with dogged willpower. The humans had surprised him with their unconventional tactics and sheer audacity. They refused to play by the rules of civilized warfare, and that made them dangerously unpredictable. But Craxon was done underestimating these primates. If the humans wanted a dirty, no-holds-barred fight to the finish, then that was exactly what the Gorn would give them. No mercy, no quarter. One way or another, this war would end at Earth. Craxon just hoped there would still be a Gorn empire left to savor the victory. Craxon's rage boiled over as he surveyed the wreckage of his once mighty flagship. He banged his head on a sparking console, causing it to erupt in a shower of sparks. "Enough games," he snarled. "Mobilize every ship, every soldier. We will scorch these human vermin from the face of the galaxy." The full might of the Gorn military descended upon the solar system. Massive orbital bombardments rained hellfire on Earth, Mars, and beyond. But the humans refused to break. On the red plains of Mars, Sergeant Ramirez and his squad crawled through putrid sewage tunnels, gagging on the stench. They emerged, dripping and reeking, inside a Gorn command bunker. "Surprise, scaly bastards!" Ramirez shouted, hurling makeshift grenades. The Gorn recoiled in disgust at the filth-covered humans. Ramirez and his team used the moment of revulsion to strike, unleashing hell with their weapons. They fought dirty, using guerrilla tactics and close-quarters combat to overwhelm the enemy. One Marine jammed a punji stick into a Gorn's foot, causing it to howl in agony and vomit profusely. The humans pressed their advantage, clearing the bunker room by room. Meanwhile, near Jupiter's moon Europa, the legendary pilot Iceman led his squadron on a daring assault. "All wings, form up," he commanded. "Arm antimatter warheads and prepare for kamikaze runs." The human ship streaked towards the massive Gorn shipyard. Iceman's vessel shuddered as it released its payload, crippling an enemy cruiser. Alarms blared as Gorn fighters closed in. "Activate cloaking device," Iceman ordered. The human ships shimmered and vanished from sight. Gorn sensors swept uselessly as Iceman and his team slipped away into the void. Back on Earth, Captain Nolan Davis led his strike force through a gauntlet of Gorn defenses. Plasma bolts sizzled past as they fought their way to the alien supply depot. "Plant the charges," Davis shouted over the din of battle. "We've got one shot at this." His team raced to set the explosives, then sprinted clear as the facility erupted in a massive fireball. But their victory was short-lived. Gorn reinforcements swarmed in, surrounding them. "We hold here," Davis declared, refusing to surrender. "Get creative, people." They cobbled together defenses from whatever they could find. Kitchen utensils became makeshift landmines. Salvaged speakers blasted ear-splitting heavy metal to disorient the enemy. Wave after wave of Gorn troops assaulted their position. Davis and his soldiers repelled them with increasingly unorthodox tactics. They hurled water balloons filled with pepper spray, temporarily blinding the alien warriors. "Release the glitter bombs," Davis commanded. The air filled with a blinding cloud of sparkles and confetti. Gorn troops stumbled about in confusion, easy prey for the human defenders. In orbit, a squadron of human pilots led the Gorn fleet on a wild chase through the asteroid belt. The nimble Earth ships weaved between space rocks, drawing the aliens into a deadly game of cat and mouse. Just when the Gorn thought they had the humans cornered, the Earth pilots pulled off a daring maneuver. They used the asteroid's gravity to slingshot around, emerging behind the enemy fleet. "All ships, open fire," the squadron leader ordered. A devastating barrage of railgun slugs and experimental plasma lanced out, catching the Gorn completely off guard. Capital ships erupted in flames before the aliens could react. On the ground, Supreme Commander Kraxon personally led an assault on the human defensive line. His troops outnumbered the defenders, but the wily humans had more tricks up their sleeves. Holographic decoys sprang to life, dividing the Gorn forces. As Kraxon barked orders to regroup, Ramirez and his filthy commandos burst from hidden tunnels behind them. Improvised grenade launchers cobbled together from plumbing pipes unleashed a storm of shrapnel. Gorn warriors fell left and right as chaos engulfed their ranks. Kraxon spotted Captain Davis amid the melee and charged towards his hated foe. The two leaders clashed in a furious bout of close-quarters combat. Kraxon's superior strength nearly won out, but Davis fought dirty. He whipped out a can and sprayed Kraxon full in the face with industrial-strength silly string. The Gorn commander howled, clawing at the sticky foam blinding him. Davis seized his chance, driving a brutal kick into Kraxon's unprotected groin. The alien warlord crashed to the ground with an agonized screech. Davis stood over his fallen foe, battered but unbowed. "Humanity's not done yet," he declared. With their leader fallen, the Gorn assault crumbled. Davis rallied the human defenders for a fierce counterattack. They unleashed every dirty trick and crazy tactic they had left, driving the aliens back in disarray. As the Gorn retreated, Davis surveyed the blood-soaked battlefield. The bodies of his comrades lay all around, a grim testament to humanity's purpose. They had won the day, but at a terrible cost, and the war was far from finished. The smoke cleared over the battlefield as Captain Nolan Davis surveyed the aftermath. Bodies of humans and Gorn littered the ground, surrounded by smoldering wreckage. He clenched his teeth, processing their losses while his mind raced ahead to their next move. "We hit them hard, but they'll regroup fast," Davis muttered to his XO. "We need to press our advantage now before they can lick their wounds." As they picked through the debris, an idea began to form. Davis's eyes lit up as he turned to his team. "I've got a crazy plan. We're going to hit the bastards where it hurts, their shipyard on Titan." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the group. Sergeant Ramirez spoke up. "Sir, with all due respect, that's suicide. How the hell would we even get there?" Davis grinned and jerked his thumb toward a battered Gorn shuttle. "Our ticket in, courtesy of our scaly friends." Using intel from Gorn defectors, they plotted a course through Saturn's rings. The captured shuttle creaked and groaned as they navigated the treacherous debris field. Davis white-knuckled the controls, sweat beading on his brow as he threaded the needle between chunks of ice and rock. They emerged from the rings to find Titan looming ahead, its murky orange atmosphere concealing the massive shipyard. Davis killed the engines and they drifted, breath held, as they passed through the outer defense grid. "We're in," Davis whispered. "Let's go to work." The team split up, moving swiftly through the facility. They planted explosives on key systems and uploaded virus payloads into computer terminals. In the dry dock, Davis climbed into the command chair of a half-built Gorn dreadnought. "Oh, mama, this'll do nicely," he said, fingers flying across the alien controls. Alarms began to blare as the Gorn realized they were under attack. Davis keyed the comms, broadcasting on all frequencies. "Kraxon, you overgrown iguana, come face me yourself if you've got the balls, Or are you going to hide behind your troops like always? Gorn security forces swarmed into the shipyard, but they were met with a sight that made their scales stand on end. Their own warships powering up, weapons trained on them. "Light 'em up," Davis commanded. The commandeered ships opened fire, shredding through the Gorn ranks. In the chaos, Davis led his strike team deeper into the facility. They fought their way through waves of Gorn warriors, the close quarters making it a brutal, hand-to-hand slugfest. Davis's team used their environment, toppling equipment onto enemies and using maintenance corridors to flank and ambush. Body cams and holo emitters created phantom images of Davis, making him seem to be everywhere at once. The Gorn grew increasingly panicked and disorganized, unable to pin down their nemesis. Just as they reached the main control center, the doors burst open. Supreme Commander Kraxon stormed in, flanked by his elite guard. "Davis!" he roared. "I'll crush you myself!" But Davis just smirked, tapping commands into a console. "Too late, Scaleface. We own this place now." Kraxon's eyes widened as he realized the humans had seized control of the entire facility. Warning klaxons sounded as the shipyard's antimatter core began to overload. "Your call, Kraxon," Davis taunted. "Stay and die, or tuck tail and run. Either way, you lose." With a snarl of impotent rage, Kraxon ordered a full retreat. As Gorn ships fled the shipyard, Davis broadcast one final message. "To any Gorn sick of Kraxon's failed leadership, the humans offer amnesty. Come join the winning team." Davis turned to survey their new prize, mind already churning with possibilities. "All right, people. Let's see what kind of fleet we can cook up to drive these lizards back into whatever hole they crawled out of." Captain Davis stood on the bridge of the captured Gorn dreadnought, his brow furrowed as he surveyed the bustling activity around him. Engineers and techs crawled over every surface, rewiring systems and jury-rigging human tech into alien frameworks. "How's it coming, Chief?" Davis called out to the head engineer. Chief Reeves popped his head out from an access panel, face smeared with grease. "It's a nightmare, sir, but we're making progress. The sonic disruptor is online, and we've got the cryo-weapons integrated into the main firing systems." Davis nodded, then turned to his XO. "And our special project?" Commander Chen grinned. "The circus ship is coming along nicely, sir. You should see what the boys have cooked up in the weapons bay. It's unique." As if on cue, a muffled explosion rocked the ship, followed by the sound of maniacal laughter. "I don't want to know," Davis muttered. "Just make sure it works when we need it." Across the solar system, Supreme Commander Kraxon paced the deck of his flagship, scales jam-packed with barely contained rage. He whirled on his subordinates, who cowered before him. "I want every ship recalled, every warrior mobilized," he snarled. "We will crush these human vermin once and for all." A junior officer hesitantly spoke up. "But sir, some of our forces are suggesting we seek a peaceful resolution." Kraxon's clawed hand shot out, seizing the officer by the throat. "Sympathy for the enemy? Weakness?" He squeezed until he felt bones crack. "There will be no dissent, no mercy, only total victory." The officer's lifeless body hit the deck with a thud. Kraxon turned to his security chief. "Find the traitors. Make examples of them. I want loyalty or death, nothing in between." As the Gorn war machine geared up for its final push, the refitted human fleet took up defensive positions around Earth. Captain Davis stood at the helm of his flagship, the absurdly christened USS Party Pooper. He keyed the comms, addressing the assembled fleet. "This is it, people. Everything we've fought for comes down to this moment. We're outgunned and outnumbered, but we've got something they don't. Pure, unfiltered human insanity. So let's show these overgrown iguanas what happens when you push humanity to the brink." A ragged cheer went up across the comms. As if on cue, space rippled and tore as the massive Gorn armada emerged from warp. Davis took a deep breath, then barked out the order. "All ships commence Operation Mindfuck." The human fleet erupted into action. Swarms of microdrones spilled from launch bays, forming giant, obscene gestures in space. Warheads packed with aerosolized hallucinogens detonated among the Gorn formations. and, perhaps most bizarrely, volleys of stuffed animals trailing sparks and EMP pulses hurtled towards the enemy ships. Confusion reigned on the Gorn Bridge as reports flooded in. "Supreme Commander, our sensors are going haywire. And are those teddy bears?" Craxon's eyes bulged with fury. "Ignore their foolish tricks. All ships, open fire." The two fleets clashed in an apocalyptic furball. Human vessels darted and weaved with impossible agility, their souped-up engines leaving contrails of glitter and confetti in their wake. Gorn ships lumbered after them, only to find themselves ambushed from impossible angles.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.